Bum bum bottom 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 bum bum doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 bum bum bottom bum bum doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 bum bum bottom bum bum bottom ba da 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 ba da
You are now in session with the Comic Book Couples Counseling Podcast. I'm Lisa Gullickson.
I'm Brad Gullickson.
And each month we evaluate a different iconic romance within the four-color realm. In this episode, we're happy, free, confused, and lonely at the same time. It's miserable and magical. Oh yeah. Tonight's the night when we take a boom tube into our creator corner, where we're talking to Tom Taylor about Titan's Beast World from DC Comics.
For a second, I thought you were going to announce that we were talking to Taylor Swift.
In my dreams, we're talking to Taylor Swift.
What comics do you think Taylor Swift reads?
Does she have time?
She's got time. There's always time for comics, Lisa.
I think that she is reading Zoe Thorogood's hack slash back to school via the Omnibus app, available to you as well.
Taylor Swift, it would definitely like Zoe Thorogood. I think that's a great poll. I was going to say she's probably reading Titans, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like if Taylor Swift is into superhero comics, and why wouldn't she be? She's got to be into Titans.
Oh, I agree.
But I also like that you highlighted that Taylor Swift would be reading it through Omnibus.
Oh, of course, because she has a tenuous and slightly resentful relationship with streaming services because artists deserve to be paid for their work.
With the Comixology app finally going away, being fully absorbed by the Kindle app, now is a great time to check out our sponsors, Omnibus.
Take a boom tube directly from the grave of Comixology into the Omnibus app. We are shills. We are officially shills. It's happening today.
And you know, they have a new partnership with Archie Comics. They announced that this past week. And I think Archie Comics and Taylor Swift, they would also get along. Can you lovely listeners tell that Lisa and I finally saw the Eras Tour on the big screen this past week?
And we had the literal best time. And I realize we are so late to the party. And I resisted Taylor Swift for the longest time just because I work with kids, and so when my little girl students are like, Taylor Swift is the best, I'm like, of course you think she's the best. She's tall, she's blonde, she's beautiful. We all thought we were going to grow up into that. We all thought that was what was in the offing for us. But what really made me make the leap to Taylor Swift was all of the middle-aged dudes who were super into Taylor Swift.
All of the Mitch Garretts and their really cool Swiftie t-shirts at Comic-Con.
Yes. Their fandom was just baffling to me. What about this, like, pop sensation is resonating so deeply with so many different, like, what roads we're crossing where I just did not expect. And that is finally what, like, got me curious. And then once I got sucked in, I can't get out. It's all I'm listening to. It's all I'm thinking about. It is my current fixation. And I'm sure eventually I will get sucked out of this wormhole. Like it will, this phase will pass.
Yeah, but enjoy it while you're there, right?
Yeah, why not?
And I'm enjoying Taylor Swift through you. I also had never listened to any of her songs outside of like the occasional like radio play. Like I knew Shake It Off, but that was pretty much it.
Right.
And I think the last concert movie we went to was a repertory screening of Wattstax at the AFI Silver. So it was cool to see how the concert movie has evolved since then. And what Taylor Swift does with the Eras Tour movie is really just present the concert. There's very little behind the scenes. There's very little, interaction with the crowd. It's basically the camera planted on the stage, and we get to be there in the SoFi Stadium, enjoying it with everybody else.
I did not anticipate enjoying it all of the way through. I
It's
was like
long.
literally riveted the entire time.
It's like 3 hours or
Yeah.
nearly 3 hours.
And I don't know, I might become let's see a concert at the movies girly. I'm like looking forward to the Beyonce movie now.
Oh, yeah, Renaissance December 1st, everybody.
Yes, please mark your calendars.
And since this is Thanksgiving week that we're dropping this episode, I think we have to be thankful for Taylor Swift now.
I know. I never saw this day coming. I resisted pop music for so long. I was such a hipster. I just really was. And I apologize. I don't judge myself in the past, but I apologize.
I do think, Lisa, it's interesting how defensive, even to this moment,
Yes.
speaking into the
I'm
microphone,
very uncomfortable.
you are of your love of Taylor Swift, which is weird since like the first concert you actually ever went to was the Monkees, and the first band you ever fell in love with was the Monkees. You should embrace pop, your pop self today.
Yeah. Yeah, I like a manufactured image. I don't know what to say.
What you say, Lisa, is I am thankful for Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. Say it.
I am thankful for Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift.
And I, Lisa Gullickson, am a Swiftie.
I don't know. I'm still resisting because I feel like the Swifties, like that's a very tight community, and I would hate to try to worm my way in. But I was talking to one of my clients, one of the parents of one of my students, and she's like, Mrs. Gullickson, are you a Swiftie now? And I was like, oh, I couldn't possibly call
Because
myself a Swiftie.
you told her that you went to the Eras tour?
And that I really enjoyed it. And she goes like, oh yeah, and now like she is dating someone from football. And I was like, oh yeah, the Chiefs? And she's like, yeah, what's his name? I was like, Travis Kelce. And then she was like, and yes, there's something going on with the rights of her music. Like she what is that about? And I was like, oh, it's about Scooter Braun. And she's like, you know all of the names. And I was like, I guess once you learn enough tangential proper nouns, like you're a fan.
And did she say that you are a Swiftie? She
Yes.
recognized that you were a Swiftie?
She recognized that I was a Swiftie.
I think you're a Swiftie, and I think it's really rad. And I mean, that's what we do at Comic Book Couples Counseling, right? We talk about that when we talk about San Diego Comic-Con or comic book conventions. You'll wander into a room, like remember that time we wanted to go see the Good Place panel at San Diego, and to get into that room we had to get into it a few panels earlier, so we found ourselves in the Steven Universe panel.
Yes.
And we were outsiders amongst that fandom, but by marinating in that fandom we were like, oh man, I think we need to get into Steven Universe, and I think we need to become Steven Universe fans.
But
that's how it works.
But that conversion never took. Like we were immersed in the like pheromones of people's joy, where the Taylor Swift thing has really hooked me in a way I have not anticipated, and like I'm a little bit wary of.
No,
Don't be wary.
Embrace.
I'm so I'm so happy. Why would I resist?
My point is that there are many stages in life, and there are many opportunities to discover things. And even if you are late to the party with Taylor Swift, that's okay, because I was pretty late to the party when I discovered the Blues.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or when I discovered like Eddie Floyd. There are so many great things that have been created on this planet, and it's impossible to know all of them immediately when you were born. So as an enthusiastic geek, Lisa, we continually find things in the past and they become new and energized for us. And like Taylor Swift is not the past.
Yeah, no, it is
so
very
you
much
shouldn't
the
be
present.
resistant to it at all.
Yeah, I guess what I'm afraid of is twofold, right? One thing, I'm afraid of gatekeepers. Like I'm afraid of somebody going like, it's impossible.
That's their problem.
That's their
not your
problem, not my problem. Yes, I release that. I release that anxiety. And then the other thing is, what if there's something about Taylor Swift I do not know, and it rains on my parade?
Well, that's a problem with loving anything, right?
Yeah.
I think that you've been burned recently by a lot of creators, a lot of artists that you adore, and then they reveal themselves to be heinous in some kind of way. And, that's the danger of idolizing anybody.
Yeah, that's the danger of loving.
Maybe we all need to, as a culture, pull back, hit the brakes on idolization a little bit.
Or separate, like, separate my love and my enthusiasm from the person. Like, the person can disappoint me, but that doesn't reflect on me.
I mean, I think that's a choice for individuals, right? And, some things are more difficult than other things. But I do think it's a little weird for you to anticipate Taylor Swift disappointing you in some way.
Afraid of something I do not know.
I
couldn't possibly know.
I think that is just something you got to get over.
Yeah. You're right. If there's anybody who knows about loving and then being disappointed by it, it is Taylor Swift, because she has written 1,000 songs about it. Loving is perilous, but worthwhile.
At the very least, I'm looking forward to the next con encounter with Mitch, so the two of you can bond over your Swiftie t-shirts.
Yes, and to tell him it was because of his t-shirts. Those t-shirts worked. If they were any kind of conversion device, success.
And the other late to the party infatuation that we had this week was Titans.
Yes!
We were not Teen Titans readers prior to, 48 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got word that we were going to have an opportunity to chat with Tom Taylor about the new DC Comics crossover event, Titans Beast World, we went into binge mode and we read all of Taylor's recent Titans comics. And I kind of fell in love with these characters. I know that these are beloved characters, Young Justice and Teen Titans Go. Like, I love Teen Titans Go, but for whatever reason, neither of us had ever explored the characters in comics, and they've had such iconic runs. At the same time, even though they are like these major figures in popular culture, they've never had a comics event like Beast World before, and that's really weird, but also exciting.
It is exciting because that first rung of DC superheroes has been so impenetrable for so long. There is no beating Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. And I love seeing DC make space for more people.
Titans Beast World #1 comes out next week on the 28th, and it is an event that you can just jump into whether or not you've read the first 5 issues of Tom Taylor's Titans run, although I would recommend it, having now done so.
Because they're good comics.
They are really good comics. And, I don't know why it took me so long to read those 5 issues, because Lisa and I have been loving Nightwing, and Nightwing and Titans are in conversation with each other. So Tom Taylor is building something really special in his corner of the DC universe, and Beast World is very much a part of that and expanding that. But it is new reader friendly. The basic plot synopsis of the first issue of Beast World is that Brother Eternity, the former Brother Blood, has sent a mission into space, these astronaut cultists of his, to explore the moon Titan. And on the moon Titan, they discover the Necrostar. And I know if you read solicits, you know a lot more of what's going on in Beast World, and Tom is going to talk about certain specifics regarding what happens with that Necrostar in regards to Beast Boy's approach. Beast Boy has a plan. This is Beast World. In a lot of ways, this is Beast Boy's story, his event. Those spoilers are out there and in here within this conversation, but they did not come from us. They came from Tom.
I was both shocked and excited that he would throw in spoilers, but guys, those of you who are resistant to spoilers, I feel like if they come from the mouth of the creator, you have to just accept them.
And they're not that bad. They don't ruin the narrative in any way.
I low-key don't believe in spoilers.
And this is a relatively short conversation. We only had 15 minutes with Tom, and it serves as a teaser for Beast World and hopefully for a longer conversation with Tom Taylor about Beast World at a future date. But before we bring Tom Taylor into the love nest for this conversation, we need to do some
referrals.
As always, this segment is sponsored by Omnibus. What is Omnibus? It is a modern digital comic book store and reader app carrying your favorite single issues, volumes, and omnibuses all day and date. Just like your local comic book store, you pay per book, but digital.
Their focus is on building an excellent customer shopping and reading experience and using novel discovery features to help fans find their next new favorite book. They feature top-tier content and already have many of the top publishers in comics today.
In the spirit of helping people find their next new favorite book, we have our referrals segment. The idea is to give you, the counselees, further reading on the themes of the episode. Think of it as us sending you to specialists to further your healing journey through comic books. And as of last week, you can now browse Omnibus on any browser, any device. You don't need just an iPad. So go to the links in this show notes, pull up Omnibus, and start shopping their digital store.
I chose to celebrate Archie Comics finally coming to Omnibus.
Yeah.
And my selection is from their Chilling Adventures series, the little spooky horror corner of Archie.
It's my favorite corner of Archie, right?
It's so fun. So what I chose to relate back to Titans is Camp Pickens. I've never been to sleepaway camp. The only way I know about sleepaway camp is from watching Friday the 13th.
And Sleepaway Camp?
And I've never actually seen Sleepaway Camp.
Goodness gracious. Oh boy, there's a referral for you, everybody. Watch Sleepaway Camp.
But it always seems so ridiculous to me that the camp counselors are only like 2 to 3 years older than the camp attendees. And according to films, they're the only people there. And they're mostly preoccupied with trying to have sex with each other and trying to stop the slasher. And it reminds me of the John Mulaney bit where he's like having a teenager babysit is like having hiring a horse to watch your dog. It's just like ridiculous. And how that relates to Titans is the Titans have just barely stopped being the Teen Titans, and now they are the guys. They are the team that have been called upon to save the day.
They have severe responsibilities.
And it feels premature, right? Right? So Camp Pickens is actually an anthology book with 3 horror stories that take place at Riverdale's favorite sleepaway camp where the horses are watching the dogs. So one of the stories is by friend of the pod, Jordan Morris. The story is called Bug Juice. And it's when you find out that the bug juice isn't just a fun substitute for a more nutritious beverage at camp, but it is actually keeping the bug monsters away. And when we run out of bug juice, ooh, that's bad news.
I thought you were going to say, it's actually bug juice. Gross.
It is actually bug juice, but that is a spoiler. The line art is by Diana Camaro for that story, and the colorist is friend of the pod, friend in real life, future guest, and colorist Matt Herms. How fun is that? So, highly recommend Camp Pickens. It is not just horrific, it is also very funny and fun, and I recommend.
I'm also going to stick with the Archies vibe because I agree, Archies and Titans, they feel like the same family. And I wanted to highlight something that happened several years ago, but I think like people have forgotten.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it was so wild and cool at the time. But Archie relaunched their main series, Archie, with Mark Waid writing and Fiona Staples from Saga illustrating. And the first volume of that is up on Omnibus, and I highly recommend it. I wish, I'm so glad that Fiona Staples is still on Saga. Every issue from her, it's amazing. I would not want to rip her away from Saga, but I do also wish that she had done a little bit more beyond the first volume of Archie, because she was so perfect for these Riverdale characters, as was Mark Waid. And Mark Waid did a couple volumes before like Nick Spencer and Mariko Tamaki came on. But again, like Nick Spencer and Mariko Tamaki coming on and following Mark Waid, like this Archie series was top tier. And I don't think we celebrate it as much as we should in 2023. So here's your chance to go back and see kind of like this Ultimate Universe version of Archie, Jughead, Betty, and Veronica. It's a lot of fun.
Comic book couples counseling eventually has to get to the love triangle, the ultimate love triangle of Archie Comics. And Archie Comics is kind of like to tie this all together in a beautiful bow. Kind of like Taylor Swift, where I'm just like, can I be a fan? Is it too late?
No,
Has
it's
that
never
ship
too late.
sailed? Can I be an Archie girl? I don't know. I don't even know what they're called.
You can be an Archie girl, Lisa. And I think you should start with the Mark Waid and Fiona Staples book, which is on Omnibus. And we were supposed to cover Archie, Betty, and Veronica on Comic Book Couples Counseling in 2023. It didn't happen, but it will happen in 2024.
It's on the vision board.
Get on Archie right now and do so through Camp Pickens and the Mark Waid and Fiona Staples volume. I can pretty much guarantee that volume will be part of our Betty, Veronica, and Archie counseling session series.
Yeah, read along with us. How fun.
And that's going to bring us to the end of our
referrals.
Once again, Titans Beast World is coming from DC Comics next week on the 28th. The ongoing series just had its 5th issue, so now is a perfect opportunity to go back and read those 5 if you have not already. And Beast World will be crossing over into all of the DC universe, so prepare yourself for the coming of the Necrostar.
Do you know what would be a great solution for the Necrostar?
No.
People wearing masks. Cover your holes. It's for your safety.
Oh boy, yeah. You don't want one of those spores in your gob.
A lesson that Batman learned the hard way, which Tom spoils in this conversation.
And DC solicits. It's out there. It's not that huge of a spoiler. Batman will become a wolf. Black Adam will become a lion. We talk about it with Tom Taylor right now. Tom, welcome to Comic Book Couples Counseling. Hello.
Hello.
We are so excited to talk Titans Beast World. These Titans are 20-somethings, and we cannot trust the universe to 20-somethings. And it's kind of fascinating to think about how that's how they were referred to when they were teenagers, but now they're 20-somethings, and there's something even more less trustworthy with a 20-something.
Yeah, no, it is. It certainly comes up a number of times, particularly from Amanda Waller, who's like, you can't do this, Mr. President. They're 20-somethings. And 20-somethings are essentially like saying scum. In the eyes of some elderly politicians and world leaders. It certainly comes up, and it's certainly a thing.
Like, to me, I feel like the generational conflict comes through in the very first issue when Batman starts the big meeting with, I've got an idea and it's probably going to have to go this way. Gargo's like, also have an idea and it might actually work. It is very older generation to burst into something with certainty, to sell certainty first, where I feel like, 20-somethings, they've taken a few hits in the past year, and maybe like that certainty has been sort of undermined.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Batman comes in with a standard amazing Batman idea, and Gar points out that maybe it's not so amazing and he has a better one. And he does, to be honest. But yeah, it's certainly that sort of intergenerational thing. That was always part of this. We've always seen that, you're too young as the sidekicks to have your own team. We've seen these sort of tropes before, but they were actually Teen Titans at the time. And this is all about the Titans becoming the premier superhero team of the DCU. So we wanted to sort of, we wanted to actually address that. We wanted to say, yes, this is what's happened in the past. And in the past, they would have just folded and gone with Batman's idea or Mr. Terrific or whoever. But now they're stepping up. They're, it literally, we were in a situation where only Garfield Logan, only Beast Boy could save the world.
Right after Gar comes in with his idea, Raven stands up to him
Stands up to Batman
in such an emotionally cutting way. Like, she goes straight for, like, his soft spots of, like, Gar isn't one of your Robins, Do you feel like because the no longer Teen Titans have this relationship with Nightwing that perhaps the shine of the Batman apple is, like, perhaps not so shiny anymore?
I think, because you do have Nightwing, who at the moment is in this very big place in the entire DC universe. He's done what he's done for Bloodhaven. He's brought the Titans over. He's been asked to lead. and he's their friend. He's like their brother. This group is so different to the Justice League. This isn't a group of, you know, minor deities who hang out on the weekends and come together to punch evil in the face. This is a group of friends who've grown up with each other and they know each other really well. And so in instances like this, yes, of course, they have each other's backs as well as in the field, but as well, you know, in a room where they have to stand up to power. Of course, they're going to have each other's backs. And you see that with Raven. And then you instantly see Nightwing step in and say, hey, Batman, listen to this. And Batman's like, I trust you implicitly. Batman takes that step back and gives them all the floor. Sees sense. You know, he's a good detective, I've heard. So he's like, oh, maybe this will work. Yeah.
That's what's so exciting about Titans being the go-to team in the DC universe, because they do have that bond. Like, they feel like a family in a way that even the Justice League do not. Can you talk about what it means for the Titans to be the superhero team in the DC universe?
It means so many things. I mean, I think it fulfills a promise that feels like it's always been there, and we just thought would have already happened by now. I think when we were sort of coming up with the idea that there would be a Titans book, and I was like, well, can it be sort of the OG cast? And everyone's like, oh, you know, that's been done. I'm like, it hasn't. Like, we have not seen this group act as a unit and as a family and as friends in 20-something years. Like, it just hasn't. It just feels like we have. But I think them stepping up into this role is incredibly important. And it's, you know, it just was time. I think also there's a fandom for them. You know, there's the Titans TV show, there's Titans Go, there was the Teen Titans animated series before that. So many people, my own children included, have grown up with the Titans as their heroes. They haven't had Justice League Unlimited on television. They've had Titans. You know, they've had Beast Boy and Cyborg and Pizzas. They've had Robin and Starfire, and they've, you know, this is what they're used to. So we wanted to, you know, I like fan service. I think fan service is good. So I'm like, here, have some fan service and watch them interact. And also, I think what I love about this group as heroes and as a team and as people who come together is just how maturely they deal with things. Like, it's like, no, we don't have to act like this. I've known you forever. I know how you're feeling. Let's just, you know, let's sit in the kitchen and have a cup of tea and talk this through. You good? You good? Yeah, I'm good. Oh, great. Let's go, you know, now let's go save the world. Good idea. Yeah, they don't have to get bogged down in weird sort of macho alpha stuff that you occasionally see from Batman and, you know, Superman and these people on these teams in the past.
So then what is the challenge for doing an event like this where you do have on the sidelines Batman and Superman and the Justice League members, but they are not right for this moment? How do you make sure that this story is servicing, but not just servicing, but uplifting the Titans?
Well, I think a really good idea and a really key thing is to turn Batman into a wolf. Like, straight away. That's what you do. Like, well, he's going, oh, he can't save the world right now. He's all right. For people listening on a, you know, because this is a podcast and it's audio only, I made claw hands.
Very effectively.
Hands. We respect.
Really, really, yeah. It was tremendous acting. Yeah, like he's a wolf. We took him off the board. We can't, you know, can't deal with him. He's in a cage. And, you know, that was the case for a lot of them. But I felt when writing this event, anytime, like, I had much bigger plans for a lot of other characters, and anytime the focus left the Titans, the whole event dragged. So, you know, it was kind of imperative to me that I kept going with the Titans, which is sad because, man, Detective Chimp had a great story in this. That's it. But yeah.
I love where you start this run thematically with talking about the cycle of heroism, where it starts with despair and goes to hope and inspiration and triumph. But then you parallel that to Brother Eternity and how this same cycle can take us to a really terrible place. Like, hope is not an emotion. Hope is a cognitive process, as we know from Brene Brown, right? So, like, why did you choose to start in that place? And was there anything specifically that inspired you to make that parallel?
I think I wanted to sort of hang a lantern on the way events always tend to go, or how we expect as readers to absorb an event. We go, okay, this will happen. There'll be this shocking thing will happen, and then something else bad will happen. But then the heroes will rise, they'll all come together, and everything will be great. This event, that's not the case. I mean, that is a coda. That what's said in narration at the beginning of this book is true of the whole series, right up until the last pages. So I can't say too much except for that word of warning that the heroes don't always win. Sometimes your friend is turned into a giant star conqueror and loses his mind and infects the world with spores and they turn into animals. That is just a thing that happens on a bad Friday night. Yeah.
Does it ever feel perilous to subvert that expectation?
Yeah, I mean, they're heroes, so you need to make sure that everybody gets heroic moments, and we need to remind, because this is the Titans' first event, the Titans need to shine. They need to be the heroes that we need them to be. But we also need to make sure that their threats are real threats, and particularly with the rise of Amanda Waller throughout this series, with whoever's behind the mask of Dr. Hate, and of course Beast Boy himself and these rampaging animals, and what is the true threat. I mean, I just think if you've ever read any of my stuff before, if you've read any of my alternate universe stuff, if you've read Deceased or Dark Knights of Steel or Injustice, I like hurting people.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's not about the giant being in the sky. It's about the character on the ground and what they're feeling. And so if we can, make sure that the characters stand up and are also crushed, and we bring people along for the journey and people enjoy themselves and are sad and are happy, then I've done my job.
Being comic book couples counseling and being myself, it's always the relationships that have me coming back. Once I leave a run, I don't necessarily remember the ins and outs of the bad guys and the good guys, but I do remember who is kissing. That is the most important thing to me. And I love Gar and Raven as a couple. I think that they have that kind of nice balance of dark and light and naivete and emotional scars. And how is it writing them as a romantic couple versus writing Dick and Babs as a romantic couple?
Well, I think Dick and Babs are, they have their guards up, but not like Beast Boy and Raven. Like Beast Boy and Raven, they haven't done this before, not really. Dick and Babs are very competent people, and Raven hasn't had someone really come in and just say, I want to be that person for you. I want to, I will love you unconditionally. It's, yes, you're the daughter of a demon and you've got, that sort of hell baggage. But I'm like, whatever, I'm here for you. And it's the same for Beast Boy. He's just gone through an enormous amount of trauma in Dark Crisis and, doesn't exactly have a fun time in this event either. But Raven is always there. When he makes the big change, when he has to turn into a whale to have the brain capacity to become the next step and to become Starro, become Garo, she's there in his mind to take half of his pain and to just be there beside him. And, I don't think either of them have had that person in their lives before. And there's something really beautiful about it. Nicola Scott loved drawing them in the Titans run. And as soon as I started writing them, I'm like, of course, this is the heart. Beast Boy is the heart of the Titans. So, of course, he's the person I will carve out with a spoon. Yeah.
I think that is such a beautiful moment when he becomes a whale and you realize, because of the increased size of his brain, he is so much smarter. But just because he's smarter, he's not any wiser and he's not any more experienced. So that kind of emotional vulnerability is just still so present. And I think that is, like you said, that's what makes him the heart of the Titans.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're both emotionally vulnerable. Raven has this amazing front, but she's got so much to deal with. She's been through so much. Obviously has some daddy issues. If your dad is literally a lord of hell, that's going to be there. But the expectations of her, the fact that she's always supposed to have sort of turned evil. And yet there's this person who isn't scared of her and who loves her unconditionally and is beside her, and vice versa. I love their relationship. They're great.
And what does exploring the relationships of Titans give you that, working in Nightwing or Superman does not?
I think it's a very very different setup. It's because I mean obviously there's seven of them. Seven is always a magic number, but I've written a lot of the Justice League, and there is always these are huge superheroes who come together every now and then and fight evil, and they do it very very well. I love Superman and Batman together. I love that world's finest friendship. But this is, as we've said before, this is a family. This is a group who are all actually now living under the one roof. Like they're essentially in a share house. Nightwing's dog is there a lot of the time. And a group of people who live in a share house and save the world is a very different dynamic.
And working with Titans Beast World versus working on Titans the regular monthly, how do you determine what you tell in one versus the other?
It was a decision I made early on. Well, really, the way you work it out is you go, "Oh, this doesn't fit here. I'll go here." So yeah, there's certainly everything that you'll see in the Titans sort of crossover is something we had to tell in Titans anyway, and it's all about Brother Eternity and what happens with him and what he wanted, his motivations, what happens next. It's a really big story for Starfire. As we find out, she's kind of, her entire race has a history with the Necrostar, this thing that's unleashed from the moon. So in Titans, you're going to see that aspect. And because the first 5 issues of Titans have all been about Brother Eternity and that rise, that was the right place to have that. And that's where you're going to see Tempest show up as well.
We're just getting into Beast World, and we're nervous for a lot of characters, especially knowing who is steering the ship here. I'm so
glad I erased that spoiler off of my whiteboard behind me. I'm like, oh no.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit. We're gonna have to hit you back up once everything's all said and done with Beast World.
Absolutely. Happy to come back. Thank you so much for having me.
And there you have it. Our thanks again to Tom Taylor for joining us to discuss Titans Beast World. Again, the first issue comes out next Tuesday on the 28th. Lisa, I really enjoyed talking to Tom about how the Titans are always the youngins, right? Even when they're no longer the teen Titans, they are now the 20-something Titans. And how the DC universe, especially people like Amanda Waller, go, ugh, those children, 20-year-olds, they think they're adults, but they so are not.
I think part of it is the communication gap, where now certainty feels dangerous and a little bit toxic. And it is more honest to go in and go I have a plan that kind of might work, I'm excited to see that idea explored more. 15 minutes with Tom Taylor, straight up, not enough. And you hear us wildly cast lines for deeper conversations
that we cannot have.
That we can't have because
right.
We have no idea where the story is going to go.
Right. I'm very excited about the story, though.
Me too.
And what I think is interesting about the Titans is the fact that that generational gap must be there. Even when you remove the teenageness from them, you have to have they have to have a younger spirit than the other soldiers of the DC universe, right?
When you're separated generationally, there's just going to be a relatability disconnect. And I think that that's going to make for some interesting storytelling.
Yeah, exploring that is super relatable because every generation does go through it.
Yeah.
We all are the teenagers who don't understand the adults, and we are all the adults who don't understand the teenagers. And then when we become 20-somethings, we're like, I can't believe I was such a ridiculous teenager. And then now when you're in your 30s, you're like, oh my gosh, my 20 self, oof, what a child that person was. And Tom Taylor talks about how, he's not really there for the plot, he's there for the character. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing for us. And exploring the generational divide between Nightwing and Batman, that's why we come to Titans. We really don't come to Titans for the Necrostar, right?
Yeah. No, I come to Titans because I love Beast Boy and Raven. Because in the intro you said we hadn't read any Titan
did
stuff.
say that. Did I miss
did
something?
read the digest size Beast Boy Loves
the Kenny
Raven.
Garcia stuff.
Yes, which I really enjoyed, and it is fun to see different iterations of these characters still express those same characteristics that makes their love unique and special.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see them in full crisis mode.
And that's why we gravitate towards somebody like Tom Taylor when you're reading Nightwing. You're like, well, this is actually the book we were really searching for when we were discussing the Dick and Babs relationship back in 2021, 2020. And now we've got Nightwing, and now we have Titans, and you look at other writers like Brian Michael Bendis or Tom King, where the plot is really secondary to just finding a way in to explore the dynamics between these really strange and wonderful human beings.
I also really love this take on Gar's abilities. Which I don't want to spoil, but it's really just very interesting.
We
to
talk
me.
about it a little bit in the conversation, right? You know, Gar, when he becomes a whale and his brain increases, that changes something about him that is really odd to explore.
It's odd to explore because Gar is still in there with those new abilities, and I wonder how that's going to translate to what is happening on Earth right now and everywhere.
Okay, don't say anything. But if you're reading the Titans main series, the ongoing series, they've also been exploring when Gar shifts into a swarm of flies. And when he's a swarm of flies and someone swats and kills one of those flies, a piece of Gar is gone.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to become really relevant in Beast World.
And also, I love a cult story. I love the Brother Eternity spin. And we just watched that Escaping Twin Flames.
Disturbing.
Really upsetting.
Yeah, it's on Max, the one to watch for HBO. Don't join a cult, friends.
Yeah, no thanks.
Don't join a cult. But get on Titans. Get on Titans. Enjoy it like we're enjoying it. And if you are enjoying it like we're enjoying it, please let us know. Send us your thoughts on all the social medias. But that is going to do it for us this week. A little bit of a short episode, a short conversation, a tease with Tom Taylor. Hopefully we'll get Tom Taylor back, as he promised at the end of that conversation. You all heard it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that next week, our episode with Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Mayleave talking about Masterpiece, their new series from Dark Horse Comics, that is a thorough conversation. That is a really long conversation.
And so fun.
And it really feels like a counseling session for Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Mayleave. They had not seen each other in a long time. It was the first interview that they had recorded for Masterpiece, and they do a lot of catch up. It's really, really cute. I was thrilled to be a part of that conversation. So while you are probably no doubt seeing all the interviews that Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Mayleave are doing with all the podcasts right now, know that our podcast interview with them was first. And I don't think you're going to hear the conversation anywhere else like the one you'll hear on Comic Book Couples Counseling.
We are barreling furiously towards the end of the year.
Yes.
And we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Right now, we are working on the gift guide for the website. We are furiously reading as many comics that came out this year as we can because we're going to do our big end of the year stampies and we want to be well read for that. But I just really want to take a pause and take this moment, since it is the week of Thanksgiving, to express how tremendously thankful we are for you, the listener. We're thankful for all of the creators that we've gotten to talk to this year. It really has been a mind-blowing year.
Super thankful to all of our patrons as well. Thankful to everyone who keeps this show going. And that's everyone listening to our voices right now. Thank you.
Thank you. You've really made 2023 one for the books.
Yeah. It's definitely been the biggest year for Comic Book Couples Counseling, and it's because of everyone who's listening to this right now. And yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you.
And December 1st, Lisa, is going to mark the 5th anniversary of Comic Book Couples Counseling.
Can you believe it?
And we're going to do something special. We're going to just tease this right now. #Scumma. Hashtag Scammer.
We are going there.
We are going there. And we look forward to you joining us as we go there. Yeah, okay. Also, hold on. One last plug, Lisa. December 3rd, 2 days after our 5th anniversary, we will be at the Alamo Drafthouse in Winchester, Virginia, screening Flash Gordon.
How fun.
Alongside our buddies at Four Color Fantasies, the Eisner-nominated comic book store, the Alamo Film Club, and Psycho Cinema. Come on out and join the fun. We will be having a virtual introduction by the current Flash Gordon cartoonist, Dan Schade. I'm very excited to get that from him.
There will be prizes.
There'll be trivia. It's going to be a blast. We've been doing these comic book film clubs at the Alamo now for a year.
I cannot believe it.
Yeah, from Howard the Duck to Flash Gordon. Where will we go in 2024? Someplace marvelous, maybe?
Ooh. We don't know for certain.
No, we don't. No. That's the nature of programming. The studio's got to play ball.
Maybe our first t-shirt, our first comic book couples counseling t-shirt can be Titans related. And it would say something to the effect of, I'm just tossing this out there. Cover your holes. It's for your safety. CBCC podcast. Where can our listeners send the words of affirmations to you, Brett?
Oh, you can find me covering my holes on most social medias at MouthDork. If you have words of affirmation for our logo, you can send them to Aaron Prescott at A Cool Hand Fluke. And if you have some words of affirmation for our Radical Banner Art show poster and our 5th anniversary poster, which you can get a preview of in our Comic Book Couples Counseling Holiday Gift Guide, send them to Karen Charm at Karen_X-Men fan. Lisa, where can our listeners send their words of affirmation to you?
I'm always accepting words of affirmation at Sidewalk Siren on Instagram and Twitter. If you'd like to spend more quality time with us, you can subscribe to us on Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, Google, Apple Podcasts, or whatever app you prefer. We're everywhere. If you'd like to get exclusive, you can join our Patreon, where you'll get more content, including weekly bonus episodes.
If you'd like to reach out and touch us electronically, you can email the podcast, cbccpodcast@gmail.com. You can visit our website, comicbookcouplescounseling.com, or follow us on all the socials at CBCC Podcast.
You can give us the gift of 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and if you'd like to do an act of service, why not write a review of the show while you're there?
Yes, please.
We are fluent and receptive in all 5 love languages. It really warms our hearts and helps the pod.
So until next time, friends, keep your love tank full.
And your psychic rapport open.
Doopy doopy bum bum ba bum bum ba.
Lisa, where can our listeners send their words of Lisa, where can our listeners send their words of
Oh no.
Oh no, here we go. Lisa, where can our listeners send their words of affirmation to you?